Your margarita pizzas in the oven, Newcastle fans. Get your bottles of Birra Moretti cracked open because it looks like Sandro Tonali is bringing a bit of Italian magic to Newcastle. It's the first transfer video of the summer that I'm doing because it looks like this one is pretty concrete. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. I don't watch much Serie A. I watch a bit of the Italian teams in the European competitions. But generally speaking, I didn't know too much about this player. So I've done some reading, I've done some watching, and we're going to talk about what kind of player Tonali is and why it sounds like he suits Eddie Howe down to the ground for another player to make us an even better team next season. It's all coming up, Newcastle fans, so you know what to do. Stick around. Welcome back to Black and White Banter, you absolutely beautiful Newcastle fans. It's all starting to hot up. It is all starting to hot up, and I think this is the debut for the new shirt on a YouTube video for myself. And my God, I catch myself walking past the mirror just every couple of minutes, just getting a glimmer of that. Oh, look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Sorry about the squeaky chair. Ooh, it's a thing of beauty. Ooh, Champions League patch on a Newcastle shirt. Honestly, I'd live in this shirt if I could, just with that badge on. But let's get, before we get into everything, Newcastle fans, sorry, it's just getting us a bit too excited. Do us a favour, whack that little like button, because that takes you no effort at all. Even if you don't like this video, you can still whack the like. Go on. And if you do stick around and you like my opinion, maybe not my face, maybe you like the Champions League badge on my shirt, whack that subscribe button, because these transfer videos are probably going to start hotting up now. It's a bit like London buses with players, I always find. So do that now and get us across all social media where the content is getting pumped out every single day. Not always that serious, but there is content there every day. So things have picked up a notch, to say the least. And before we get into the player himself, can we just say, when transfers like this come out of nowhere, it makes you wonder about journalists. Who do we even trust? And even some of the more respected ones who I actually like, who I've got a lot of time for. Craig Hope, I like his YouTube videos. I like him as a journalist. He said our transfer budget was 75 million this summer. And it looks like we're going to spend almost all of that. Well, 3/4 of that just on one player. So that doesn't look accurate at all. No one called this player. No one said we were looking at him in previous weeks. There was talk about Barella, obviously, his teammate. But this one's just, it's come out of nowhere. And you just wonder what these journalists are getting up to. Are they just sat at home twiddling their thumbs, jumping on the back of someone to actually break it, and then they all break it? I don't know. But just makes you wonder sometimes, doesn't it? But it's exciting, so let's get straight into it. Sandro Tonali. It looks like this one could be concrete. Apparently, it's been reported that Dan Ashworth is in Italy trying to iron this one out. You know, Ashworth is the man. We've reportedly bid around £55 million, which I think equivalents to about 70 million euros for the player, somewhere or thereabouts. We are offering double what his wages are. My understanding is that Tonali is on 75,000 a week at Milan, so we're looking at offering him maybe 150 or somewhere close to that number. Milan are wanting add-ons. They're wanting as much money for this player as possible because he's only 23 years old. But it looks like this one could be picking up pace now. This could be the first, and it's a huge transfer. It really, really is. £55 million. I mean, wow. These are the kind of numbers we're able to splash around. It still blows my mind as a Newcastle fan. Remember Chowdhury from Leicester, how we were always linked with him on loan on deadline days? Now we're looking at £55 million players in the first couple of weeks of the window. It's madness. But I didn't know much about this player. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I watch Serie A. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I watch AC Milan on the regular. I watched them obviously more recently in the Champions League as they got all the way to the semi-final. But generally speaking, no. So I have watched some of the player this year, but not enough to go, wow, he's the one I want in my ranks, because AC Milan against Inter in the semis weren't actually very good. They were pretty poor. So let's get into, from my reading and my own understanding, from all the scout reports that I like to read, and I do have my websites for these things, what sort of player is he and why does Eddie Howe want him? Now, the more I've read about Tonali, it makes total sense. Now, Pioli, the AC Milan manager, he likes to play a very pressing style of football at AC Milan. This is going to be my first point. Tonali is taken to that playing style like a duck to water. He's got a right engine on him. And he has totally adapted to that playing style of press, press, press from the front, from the centre-backs to the first three of midfield, to the forwards, get right up their arses and get that ball back as quickly as possible. That's exactly what Eddie Howe wants from a player. That's exactly a philosophy that Eddie Howe wants a player to walk in already known. So that's going to be a first point for me. He's generally speaking a defensive midfielder, which we all know we've needed. Sean Longstaff has proved how important he is to Newcastle, but we still need that next level up to support your Joe Lintons, your Brunos. And don't forget, we are going to be playing in 4 competitions next season. Sean Longstaff is not going to be cast aside if we sign this man. He's going to be just as integral as he was last year across all 4 competitions. He's very, very good at close ball control. He's a very confident boy with the ball of his feet in close positions, but he can also change pace. The boy's got a bit of an engine on him, and he can drag the ball away from opposition players and start that transition into an attack from a defensive position. And that's exactly, you know how dynamic Eddie Howe has us playing. Bruno gets forward, Joe Linton gets forward, Longstaff gets forward when needs be. We attack as a team, we defend as a team. That's another great point. He's very, very good at vertical transitions for AC Milan because, again, that's what Pioli likes to play with them. Vertical transitions is something that we do all the time at Newcastle. Balls from Bruno getting pinged out to Almiron, out to Trippier, who supports him. The other side, out to Isak, out to Maximin, out to Anthony Gordon. It happens very much. It's a very, very quick way of not only getting the ball up the field, but stretching the opposition as well, and he's become accustomed to doing that at AC Milan. Sorry if I look like I'm looking down, it's just because I've made so many notes from reading about this guy. Positional switches, he's been accustomed to changing position during games all the way through. This is a player who might pop up on the left-hand side, he might pop up on the right-hand side, and he's got an understanding with his teammates to switch. And again, that's exactly what we do at Newcastle. You see Joe Linton switching with Joe Willock. You see Bruno sitting at times while maybe Longstaff might carry the ball forward. It happens quite a lot at Newcastle. So at AC Milan, it's very common to see Tonali sit back next to his 2 centre-backs, let them support the attack and open up those channels running down either side whilst he sits in and covers for them too. That's going to be very, very important as we play different styles of play, teams that might want to counter us, because I think last season Newcastle struggled more so against teams that played us at our own game. That's what I noticed as the season went on. And I think Aston Villa, when we got beat 3-0, they pressed us and pressed us and pressed us and got on the front foot as quickly as, and we got battered that day at Villa Park. We just weren't at the races. And I think the fact that this player is adaptable is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. He can take set pieces. He can take free kicks, corners, attacking free kicks from the edge of the box. So he's got that in his locker. He's sorry, I'm just going to turn page on my notes. I've already mentioned he's a gifted dribbler. Now, the player has been compared to Pirlo. That's inaccurate. From my understanding, that's an inaccurate comparison that most Italians would say, no. He likes to think of himself as more of a Gattuso, an aggressive engine in central midfield. Francesco Totti came out and spoke about this player recently and said that he is going to go on to be one of the best midfielders in the world, that he's got it all. And that speaks volumes. If there's an Italian player's opinion that you're going to respect, it's Totti, who's one of the biggest Italian legends to ever walk the earth. And he's talked a good game of him. But yeah, he's more of a Gattuso. He can be used in a 4-2-3-1 as a central defensive midfielder, or in a 4-3-3 across the first 3, anywhere in that first 3. That's exactly the 2 key formations that Eddie Howe likes to play for Newcastle. He's only 23 years old, which suits our model of getting players in who can only get better and better. I don't think Eddie Howe is the sort of manager right now who wants players at the back end of the 20s into the early 30s. Kieran Trippier may be an exception to that rule because of his experience and because of his leadership. That one was a no-brainer. But generally speaking, he's always thinking about the future. And I think our project is thinking about the future as well. So this player can only get better. And everything that I'm reading about him, from his engine, from his versatility, from his ability to not only play as a central defensive midfielder, but also play as a Roman number 8 further up the field, his comfort in the shot, his set-piece taken, his ability to press, because that's all he's ever known at AC Milan. I mean, this boy, when he first came to Milan, didn't set the world alight. But he got his dream move to Milan in 2020. He took a pay cut to go there. That shows how much this kid loves football. And he didn't set that first season light. But the Milan fans, because he's a supporter of the team, they stuck by him because they saw a player. And the following season, he came out the traps like a beast. And he helped AC Milan win the title. So he's already got that winning mentality he would be bringing to Newcastle as well. And I just think he seems to tick so many boxes. And from not knowing much about the player to now reading about what his attributes are, what his stronger points are, he just sounds like such an Eddie Howe player. And don't forget, this guy is bringing Champions League experience to Newcastle as well. He's bringing title-winning experience. And we could be looking at a really, really exciting prospect to slot into that midfield with Bruno, Joe Linton, and then you've got Willock and Longstaff. And suddenly, with the addition of a central defensive midfielder, we've got options. And this guy does seem to ooze class the more and more I've read about him. The more I have read, the more excited I've got that this player might get over the line. I don't do these transfer videos unless it looks like it could be a little bit more solid in its progress, and it looks that way. So Newcastle fans, obviously I'll do another video if the player does sign. We probably is expecting progress on this on the next 24 to 48 hours. I was just about to post a video about Champions League and season ticket prices until this broke. So I've got another video will be coming tomorrow about my thoughts on Champions League ticket prices going into next season. So make sure you hit that subscribe if you want to see that one. And let me know, maybe some people watching this video have watched this player in a lot more detail than what I have. I've just done my reading and watched my videos. But I hope this video has maybe given you a better understanding of what the player is better at and what he might bring to Eddie Howe's Newcastle team. So if you have liked it, whack that subscribe, whack that like, and I've got no doubts this man's name will be mentioned on a video in the next couple of days if hopefully Mr. Ashworth and the boys can get this one over the line. I'm going to go and smash a margarita pizza and a bottle of Moretti to get in the mood for this lad potentially flying into Tyneside. Enjoy the rest of your week, Newcastle fans, and I'll see you on the next video. However, lads.